All right. Hey, Tyler, welcome back.
Hey, Jason. Thanks.
Everybody out there, welcome back.
Hey.
Yeah, like, subscribe, share, all that stuff. Today we're talking about passwords, so let's just jump right into it. We have 4 bullet points.
All righty.
We were talking beforehand, Tyler, passwords, best practice, worst practice. We've kind of heard a lot of this before, but let's just do a quick overview.
Sure.
What's good, what's bad?
Yeah, I'm sure a lot of people have heard about passwords in the past. But really why passwords are bad is that they are easy to steal. They're hard to remember, oftentimes get reused. So if one account gets compromised, now your entire digital identity is compromised. And so best practices for password use is to make them extremely complex and unique for every account you use, the hundreds of potential accounts you may have online. But that can be really difficult to manage.
Which leads us to bullet point number 2.
Which is password managers.
What's a password manager?
Password managers are secure vaults. They're applications that can be accessed via a browser extension or natively installed applications on your computer or your mobile devices. And they sync your credentials in this secure vault between your devices. And so using a master password to get into your secure vault, you can then access and oftentimes, automatically fill in your complex, unique passwords for any account that you're signing into. Very effective tool.
Yes. I love my password manager. And in fact, I could show you my bank password and be fairly secure that you're not going to remember it. Because I don't even know it.
That's right.
Well, good deal. I think we'll turn on comments for this video. Leave your favorite password manager application in the comments so everybody else can look in there. I have my favorite. You have your favorite. We have our favorite. If you work for a company, ask your IT department.
Absolutely.
And so that kind of leads us also to, still in passwords, MFA or 2FA. Again, what is it? What is best? And if you want to start with the you are, you have, I think that's a great.
Yeah, absolutely.
Great
So 3 primary types of authentication: something you know, something you have, or something you are. So something you know would be a password. Something you have might be a mobile device like your cell phone, and something you are would be a biometric feature. A face scan or a fingerprint.
Mm-hmm.
And so multi-factor authentication is a combination of 2 or more of any of those factors. And it was introduced and popularized because passwords are so weak. So let's add another layer of security here to make it more difficult for malicious access to your accounts if your password gets compromised. Yep. Well, you need that secondary factor. And so if that's not available, then your account stays secure.
That makes sense. And so most of us use it all the time with banking.
Absolutely.
Things like where you get that text message.
And that's probably where it got popularized the most first was banking, which is often, the frontier of security.
Yep.
But I've been happy to see it's become so popularized across all digital accounts in the past couple of years. Even my parents and grandparents now are familiar with MFA and they understand how it works. And it's good to see it, kind of go out in the wild like that.
Now, when we set up MFA, whether it's with your Gmail account or your O365 account, there's a few options in there, right? Like the phone call or the text message or the authenticator app. What should I use? What should I not use?
So that's a great question because probably most commonly you're going to see, hey, enter your phone number. We're going to send you a text with a code, which is better than nothing. Yep. You might also have the option for a phone call or an email or using an authenticator application that generates a real-time code, usually a 6-digit code, or maybe sends you a notification to approve sign-in. If I had to recommend anything, it would always be the authenticator application.
Yep.
Because that phone call or that text message or that email, those are easier things to compromise than the applications installed on your mobile device. That's something you have in your hand. It's much harder to steal, and so it's just going to be a lot more secure method. I will make a note that if it is notification-based, you have to be wary. There's something called MFA fatigue, where you see that notification and you just approve it without thinking about it. Bad guy just got into your account and just made MFA worthless to you.
Perfect. Yeah. If you're not at your computer and you get one of those little pop-ups, don't click on it.
Think twice about it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's not just click approve.
Yeah. Good deal. All right. And this leads us to the last one, which is, I think it's somewhat new to the consumer, passkeys. Dude, what are passkeys?
Passkeys. It's the latest and greatest in authentication. And quite frankly, it's a step forward that can help us leave passwords behind, which will be, really exciting to see should that come to fruition.
Heck yeah.
But what are passkeys? So trying not to get too technical about it, but passkeys are a form of authentication that use something called public key cryptography where it stores a private key on your own private device, your mobile device, or your computer, wherever you set that pass key up. And then a public key is saved by the service to which you're authenticating, your email provider or your bank.
Mhm.
And when you go to authenticate against that account, it uses this public key to reach out to your private key, handshake, and approve the authentication. And when that happens, that device is going to ask you, is this allowed? And use maybe some sort of biometric authentication like that fingerprint scan or that Face ID to allow that handshake to be successful and then complete the authentication process. So that's a high-level overview of what passkeys are.
I thought that wasn't supposed to be very complicated.
Sorry.
No. I mean, so I kind of understand it, and I relate it to things like an SSL cert on a website, right? It's a public cert, and your computer has to have that cert to say this is a real website.
Sure,
you can go there.
sure.
So it's more complicated than that, but very similar to like tokenization of stuff.
Very similar, and really from a end user perspective, it simplifies the sign-in process.
That's key. Yeah.
When you go to sign in, it's going to say, okay, reaching out to your device, you pick up the device, you scan your fingerprint or you scan your face, and then it gets you into the account. It seems simpler on the end user end, but it's a more complex back-end process that's actually much more secure than the password.
Gotcha. And now that you say that, I'm just thinking about it. Inherently, that has MFA built in because now it's something that you are and something that you have in order to send the pass key.
Exactly.
And that's technically something you know, but you don't even know it. Your phone knows it.
Correct. Yes.
So you have all three factors.
And it's that multi-factor authentication event, but it requires basically one fluid event from the end user. So it makes the process easier.
Gotcha. And we've kind of answered this, but if we just want to go over it
Sure.
again, why is it better than a password?
So right out the gate, it's harder to steal because this is something that you're not typing in. It can't be stolen with a keylogger or someone looking over your shoulder, or it's not a password stored in a database that gets corrupted.
Can't write it down on a sticky note?
You can't write it down on a
Okay.
sticky note and put it on your computer,
Okay.
classic. So harder to steal. That's right out the gate why it's such an improvement. It makes the sign-in process easier, so you improve in that regard. We talked about that, and then it makes the bad guys have a harder time faking an authentication process. So phishing email, something we get every day, tries to get you to sign into a fake site to steal your credentials. Well, with passkeys, that can no longer be done because they can't complete that handshake process because they're not the legitimate source or holder of the public key when they go to get that private key from your mobile device.
So even if they got your private key, they still don't have the public key because it's a malicious site.
It's the opposite.
Oh, the opposite.
Public
Okay.
key, they want to be able to complete the handshake with your private key.
Gotcha.
But yes, there's no fake site that could finish that process because they don't have the authority to complete that handshake.
I follow.
Yep.
All right. And then we also talked a little bit ahead of time. It's device centric, but there is this sharing between devices concept.
Yes. So passkeys as a baseline concept, very secure. You start to open up a security hole when you allow for syncing between devices, because that just means that your attack surface has spread as you take that private key and duplicate it in multiple areas. It's possible, it's convenient, and you're always trying to balance that security and convenience.
That's right.
And so if you do have a service like Google, for example, will sync your passkey between your home computer and your mobile device. If you do that, you have to start treating those devices as your private vault and make sure those devices are secured with the biometric sign-in of their own. If your Apple account or Google account are the holders of those passkeys, make sure those accounts are protected with their own multi-factor authentication so bad actors can't compromise those accounts and then ultimately compromise your passkeys.
Gotcha. Okay. I think that's a good introduction to passkeys, and I feel like we're on kind of it feels like day one of passkeys.
Yes.
Right? And like day 90 is going to look a lot different than day one.
Sure. It's
the core concept is there though. And,
absolutely.
And Apple's using it, Google's using it, Microsoft has started using it. I think password managers are going to start supporting it.
I've seen most password managers adopt support for it. Most major browsers have supported them since 2018.
Oh, wow.
And where it probably became most popular to the average consumer recently is when Apple introduced them, with iOS support.
Okay.
That iOS can now manage your passkeys in what's it, Apple Keychain.
That's right. Yeah.
And so leave it to Apple to popularize it for the average end user.
Yep.
But that's how these things get spread because The concept behind passkeys is not new to the industry. It's just something that was limited to maybe like a hardware key that was used in the banking environment or some high level enterprise environment. And it's really good to see this trickle down because it is leaps and bounds better than the traditional username and password pairing that is so vulnerable.
That makes sense. So this next year will be interesting with passkeys and implementing it and getting users used to it.
I'm excited to see it. Yeah.
In terms of, I guess there's a recommendation, like, let's not be scared of this, right? It's the new thing.
Sure.
Try it with an account, use it, call up somebody if you're having a hard time, call up your IT company. It's coming, so might as well start using it now and get used to it.
Yeah, I totally agree. And in the meantime, while it's not, completely supported across the board, still make sure you keep in mind that password manager and how valuable that can be to keeping the rest of your account secure too.
Certainly. Oh man, I love my password manager. It's always scary looking in there going, wow, I have 200 passwords. Oh,
but they're all unique. Yeah. So if one gets compromised, it's just limited to that one account.
Yeah, it's great. I think that covers it. Anything else?
I think we're good.
All right. We'll come up with something next time, maybe more password stuff. But thank you guys for watching. Tyler, thank you again for hanging out with me today. And like, share, subscribe. Talk to you guys later.
Awesome.